like you said, he's got 3 rings, right? And just to clarify, none of those rings are with Toronto, right?
Is Fraser Minton going to have more points than Slavkovsky this year? Fraser Minton sucks at hockey. This guy might not even be an NHLer, so we got to settle down on that one.
Adelaide, no. Minus 160 on will they show her holding a drink in her hand.
They are 2 points behind the St. Louis Blues in the wild card, and they are.
Oh, the Blues are dog water. The Blues suck. And the Blues are the worst of those 4 teams that I mentioned by a mile.
And
they're not a good hockey team.
Care, like have some set of balls, have some response, have some pride for what the hell goes on the ice. It's so absurd.
I'm looking forward to the parade, but that's going to be later in the year.
I'd rather have so money in that than have Arbor Soderblom. I would rather stack a bunch of garbage that I have in the corner of my room over here than have Arbor Soderblom in that. He's
April 8th, welcome back to Edgework, presented by Stacks. I'm Zack Phillips, joined here on this Monday morning to kick off the week by Alex B. Smith and So Many Sports. And today we'll get into a little bit of Calder discussion, which, as Alex will let us know shortly, should probably not be discussion, in his opinion at least. We'll get into that. We'll get into tonight's games. We'll get into some President's Trophy talk. But before we get into any of that, I want to remind people that today's show is sponsored by Stacks, as always. And if you haven't already, you should be signed up for the Stacks Betting Exchange. If you're sick of getting limited and profiled, Stacks is a unique sports betting exchange that offers higher limits and better pricing, offering a fair and real-time marketplace for users to bet on the outcome of sporting events. Make sure to add Stacks to your list of outs and sign up today. The option is yours at Stacks. Make sure to check out Stacks. You can also join the discussion. You can click on the link in the description of the show. Head on over to the Stacks Discord. If you're looking to post slips, if you're looking to have positions filled, you can head on over there and do so. Before we get into anything else here today as well, on the Saturday bets that we gave out, 3 and 4 there on the Saturday. We lose 0.8 units. We are up on the season, 8.1 units this year, the record of 328, 353, and 14 with a 1.1% ROI. We'll look to turn that around. And 2 games tonight will break both of those down. But Alex B., you have something on your mind that you were looking to talk about here today.
Yeah, so yesterday, of course, Chicago Blackhawks lose to the Minnesota Wild, which isn't shocking. It was an Arvid Soderblom start, second day of a back-to-back for the Hawks. And Minnesota is a better team, despite the fact that they're going to be missing the playoffs this year. And everybody was hyping up the battle between Bedard and Brock Faber. And you've got a whole lot of people on Twitter who've been yapping for the last few weeks saying that Brock Faber should be the Calder Trophy winner. And I beg to differ, not just because I'm a Hawks fan, but because there are numbers that are backing all of this. You look, we talk about Bedard and obviously the hype train that was behind him at the beginning of the year and leading up to the start of his career. And then all of a sudden, he ends up missing 14 games, misses a span of 41 days with a broken jaw. If you look at the Hawks' numbers since he's returned, they actually have one of the top 10 power plays in the league. They're ranked 7th as of yesterday since the return of him being back in the lineup. He's ranked number 1 amongst rookies in these different categories: points, goals, assists, points per game, even strength goals, even strength points, power play points, he's second. Shots on goal first, time on ice first. The only thing that Brock Faber is ranked first at overall, as far as a bigger stat rookie-wise, is minutes per game at 25, which makes sense. He's healthy all year, and he's the defenseman and has been getting top defenseman minutes. Everything else has stayed the same with even when Bedard was gone during that span. And if you look at the numbers from 2 books that still have Calder odds, most books don't because it's been such a runaway. But the 2 books that have markets for Bedard and Faber, minus 2,500 at FanDuel, minus 5,000 at BetMGM. Brock Faber's price at both of those, 12-1. And that number hasn't budged for weeks. So enough with the bullshit. Connor Bedard is winning the Calder Trophy. Brock Faber had a great season, probably would get more votes if it wasn't for Bedard being in a rookie year this year. It's just not going to happen. So just knock it off.
So, Money, any thoughts on the Calder candidacy here?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. So firstly, I'll preface everything I say by saying that I do have a pretty large Connor Bedard ticket to win the Calder, right? And I felt there was no value early in the season, but we talked about it when he got injured, that when he's getting close to returning or when he is injured, when kind of hopefully the rest of the field catches up, we should be able to catch a minus 160, minus 170. And that's exactly what happened, right? So he did dip to minus 160. I was able to get that. So I do have a Connor Bedard ticket. It doesn't mean that I feel that he's necessarily deserving of the Calder. It's more of a it's more of a bet that I felt had value and that I think is going to win, right? Obviously, Bedard is going to win the Calder, right? Like Alex is 100% right about that. He's winning the Calder. The only thing though is that it was already given to him in October, right? So all the narratives were there. He's the next one. Everything. It was all given to him, and that's totally fine, right? Then like that's part of our handicapping these awards markets. What we always talk about, that they are narrative based, right? So like if you can get in front of the narrative, at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? So like it's nothing to take personally when I say that he that it was given to him or whatever. It's not a personal thing. The kids from North Van, I want him to succeed, right? So there's nothing personal there. It's just that it was given to him and we're gonna cash that ticket. That being said, right, Alex, all the numbers that you gave out, they were all offensive stats, right? So besides minutes played, right? Bedard's defensive numbers, I need to look into this, but if anybody in the chat or if either of you know can like help me out, I believe that of all the Calder Trophy winners, his defensive numbers will be the worst in like a very long time, right? So I would like to look into that. Nothing to take away from his offensive numbers. It's evident. It's clear to see as you're watching these games, Chicago is a better team when Bedard is on it. They, as Alex mentioned, better power play. They do generate more chances. There's no denying that, right? But he doesn't have the all-around game yet. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to come. He's still young, right? Like players take a long time, especially offensively gifted players, to develop defensively, right? So that's going to come. Faber, what he's doing, Alex mentioned the minutes, right? That's a big deal for me, right? He is a rookie who's been given top 4 minutes, and it's not like it's just been given to him. Like he's playing well with those minutes, right? So
Yep.
For a rookie to play those minutes as a defenseman in the NHL, that means a lot, and I don't think that's something that we can just gloss over, right? So, all that being said, I do have time to listen to the arguments. Bedard is going to win, and listening to the arguments doesn't take anything away from that, right? He'll still win, but I think that we need to look at kind of Bedard holistically here. There is he is deficient defensively, right? And like I think that like we need to be able to talk about that.
But here's the counterpoint I give to that. Who moves the needle more for their team overall?
Bedard does.
Right. So that automatically gives, I think that beats it out, because here's the thing: Brock Faber being a defenseman is not going to give you a ton of gigantic offensive points.
Okay.
And here's another thing too: we talk about the issue all the time with the Norris Trophy. The Norris Trophy should be based on a bunch of different defensive metrics, but at the end of the day, they really kind of break it down to which defenseman ends up having the most points and the best plus minus. So how are we going to try and fix that problem? But then you want to try and bring that same conversation into an award that any player could win, even a goaltender. I'm just saying it doesn't balance out as far as a back and forth. The offensive numbers are always going to beat the defensive numbers if you have this kind of a battle in my opinion.
Yeah, and they will. I don't think there's any there's any denying that. But like let's talk about moving the needle, right? Because I think it's more nuanced than just saying that like who has the larger impact on the team, because Bedard does have a larger impact on Chicago because they're so bad, right? So like if Bedard was a rookie on the Leafs, for example, right, he wouldn't move the needle as much. Then at that point, are we having a different discussion, right? Because he wouldn't be moving the needle as much, right? So like I
Possibly,
think
yeah.
that I think it's more contextualized and it's more nuanced than just saying that who has a bigger impact on their team, right? Because that's more of a, in my opinion, that's more of a hard trophy discussion. Whereas for me, a Calder discussion is more who is the best all around rookie going into the league, and this is where it becomes difficult when you're comparing the top offensive talent on in like the rookie class with the top defensive talent, right? It's like it's hard to reconcile those things sometimes, and therefore by default these things usually go to the person who's getting the most points.
Yeah, I see here Graham in the chat saying I'm holding Marco Rossi futures. Thoughts? So, I think that
Sorry,
was
Graham.
He got. I mean, he more than likely will be the third guy
Yeah.
to split things, and that's where things really get tricky too, because now you have, all right, two offensive players who could split some votes. You got two players on the same team who could split some votes, and that's another thing that's probably going to throw things as far as if you trying to bet. And like I said, there's no Marco Rossi number up. I haven't seen Marco Rossi's name since Bedard came back, and when there were still other options available when Bedard was as low as 160. So
yeah, I do agree with somebody that it's fairly clear cut in terms of, especially when the betting market, and we know the narratives into it about it. This is Bedard, and everyone's going to want to have that added to his list of accolades at the end of his career, that he wins the Calder. And I agree with so many that it's not like, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but I just feel like, at least in terms of the argument of it, it's maybe not as clear cut of, hey, this is it for sure.
And my last point on this too is, you got all these people on Twitter barking left and right, talking about and I mentioned it, I retweeted it. He's been a guest on my other show, Jason Demers, former NHL player, awesome guy. But he's talking about Brock Faber plus 1,200. That price is crazy. Well, if it's so crazy, then why hasn't it moved in weeks? And if all these, I'm seeing people every day, Faber for Calder. Why? Where's all the money rushing in to bet plus 1,200 if that's such a crazy price?
Yeah, no, that's valid. All right, well, let's get into some of the games today, and games that we can bet on. We might be able to find some value in here for people in the chat. And if you are watching and you do enjoy the content, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications so you get notified every single time we go live. As well, at the very end of the show here, we will recap any bets given out throughout the show. But let's start here tonight in Toronto, where the Maple Leafs are hosting the Penguins. Minus 147. You can find that best price at Stacks on the Maple Leafs. Plus 141 on the other side on the Penguins there. We're seeing a total of 6.5 right across the board. So, Money, what are your thoughts on where the market has kind of shaped this one out to be right now, whether it's side or total wise?
Yeah, so I will be betting the Penguins. I haven't bet them yet because it seems that every time Nedeljkovic is still whenever he's announced, the market still seems to move against him for whatever reason. So I'm waiting for some goaltending there. Either way, whether it's Nedeljkovic or it's Jari, I'm going to be on the Penguins, or whoever they want to start in goal these days. I will be on the Penguins. Leafs. So the Leafs, they're interesting, right? They are playing well, right? Relatively well. They have turned their game around. But I think that the way that the Penguins are playing right now, this number's off, right? Like, I think that I would have been okay with this number a couple of weeks ago, but the way that, like, at the current point where these teams are, I'm showing a lot of value on the Penguins, and this is not. We won't see this number if these two exact teams in this situation played a week from now. And like, for the people that who I talk to, like, I always mention that, like, if you look at one game in a vacuum, right? Like you have that number for a game, right? You have the market number. So when you factor in everything that you look at in a game, would you still make that number a week from now? Would you have made that number last week, right? And if there's any variance there, assuming that you know what you're looking for, um, then that's where the edge lies for me, right? So where these two teams are, we wouldn't see this number a week from now, right? So that's why I will be betting the Penguins. Just waiting a little bit, I think we'll get a better price. But even if you can find like plus 140s right now, I do it. I'm just very price sensitive on this one, so I'm just I want, and I've got time, so like I want to make sure that I get every last cent out of this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so you are anticipating number moves. What numbers do you think might be coming up later here today?
It's tough to say, but like if we can get a plus 145, I would do that for sure. I'm fine with the number right now. Like I would bet it right now at the plus 135 plus 140 range. Um, and like if I'm wrong and if it starts moving the other way, then yeah, I'll bet the Penguins earlier. But I'm fine with betting it right now.
Well, we can lock that in here on the show then. So money, we'll lock it in a plus 141. There's best price available right now. So we'll grab that for the show, and that'll be our first official bet of the day. Alex, do you have any thoughts on this one yourself and anything you're betting in this game?
Yeah, I'm looking at Pittsburgh as well, and like so many alluded to with Nedeljkovic, the fact that money moves against him still when he's been the guy really carrying this team in net lately is kind of crazy. So if we can wait and get a plus 140, even 145, by all means, I'll probably dabble a little bit more on it. I grabbed 140 at Caesars, but if I see anything else more, I'll probably add a little bit more onto that. But I also like Sidney Crosby first goal at 12-1. We talked about, so with the Hart Trophy, you look at which player is the most valuable to their team. No one player has carried a team more than Sidney Crosby this year. And at the age of 36, he's literally dragging this dead horse possibly into the postseason. It's been an absolutely miraculous run. I think he's the kind of guy who can get things started, especially on the road. He has that kind of pedigree. So I'm going to take a shot here at a nice price, plus 1,200. Sidney Crosby gets the first goal of the game along with the Penguins win.
How do you want to play this unit-wise here, Alex?
That'd be a half unit.
All right, go a half unit plus 1,200. Sidney Crosby to score the first goal. We will recap all these at the very end. I will say for myself, look, if there's any game that I genuinely care more about in the regular season of the Leafs winning and getting done, it's obviously want to win the show bets, but this is one that as a Leafs fan, I want the Leafs to win and to crush dreams tonight and
Disgusting.
have all the those writers for a certain company here in Toronto will be absolutely heartbroken at the end of the night here tonight, consoling Dubas outside of the GM box. So that would be just an incredible sight as a Leafs fan tonight. I apologize, Somani. I apologize, Alex. I know you guys are on it, but for me as a Leafs fan, that's best possible. That's best case scenario. They run them out of the building, and that's the end of it. I will be so happy tomorrow morning if that's the case.
I can't believe because of your personal problems with certain individuals, you are cheering against me buying my island. That's I find that ridiculous.
I am sorry. I'm sorry. If there's any way for this to go down, tonight's the night and tonight's the opportunity, and I will be a happy person. I'm sorry, so many, but let's keep it moving here. We got another game on the schedule, and that would be with your Vancouver Canucks hosting the Vegas Golden Knights here tonight. Vancouver minus 115. We see on the other side Vegas plus 110 right now on certain books and pushing out. We're seeing some different numbers. You can find some 105s, 106s there on the Golden Knights, and the return of Tomas Hertl is anticipated to be tonight. And JC, in case you were wondering, this Vegas team that gets accused as they've put it of manipulating the cap, it's now being publicized in every which way that there are games left in the season, and he is returning to the lineup. But we see a total of 6 and 5.5s out there right now. Alex, what are your thoughts on this game and where we see kind of some of these numbers coming in at?
Yeah, I mean, this is one that's obviously, Vegas has got, well, both teams have things to play for, obviously, but Vegas trying to at least solidify and get into the postseason. They probably, kind of want to be in that third spot in the Pacific, maybe rather than one of the 1 or 2 wild card spots. But I think this is going to be kind of a back and forth game early in the contest. And just kind of looking at some numbers previously, I've seen the first period over cash in 9 of the last 10 meetings. And you can shop around and find this price pretty cheap. I'm seeing $1.20 at Caesars, $1.10 at FanDuel. So definitely shop around and try to grab the best price possible. But I like the first period over here at a 1.5 price.
All right, and we can get that minus 115 best price that we can find here. So we'll lock that in for the show. And So Money, you got anything else for us in this game tonight, aside from some personal rooting interest?
Yeah, and I don't even know if there's a lot of rooting interest, to be honest, at this point, because I have been saying that I wanted the division, but I want Vegas more than I want the division. So if Vegas slides into that third spot, I'm fine with finishing second, so that certain people can cash the Oilers division ticket, as well as avoiding the Kings altogether, hopefully. So that's where I stand right now. But looking at this game, it's really tough to back the Canucks right now. They, especially against better teams lately, they're having a really tough time. I believe that they haven't beaten a playoff team since Demko got hurt. That says a lot, because we knew that their schedule was going to get tougher. It has. Unfortunately, it's just coincided with Demko's injury as well. So that's a little bit tough to take. But for this game, it's tough to back the Canucks. You look at the number right now, and basically what you're seeing is the home ice premium, right? So like we're basically saying that this game is a coin flip, and then you just add the home ice on the Canucks and you call it a day. That's essentially how this game has been lined. I don't disagree, but it's tough for me to find value in this game. If you really want to look for something, the under kind of makes sense at 6, but there's a lot of things I'm seeing in DeSmith's game, especially against the Kings and a couple of games before that, where I feel that all the starts are kind of starting to catch up to him. So that makes me a little bit wary of playing the under. Both of these teams probably are fine playing this game at an under pace, but the Canucks goaltending, it does concern me a bit right now. So it's something that I want to keep an eye on and monitor before I put any money down on it. Either way, so I'll pass. It's not the end of the world if the Canucks lose tonight, and we'll just go from there.
All right, that'll do it for today's show. Those are both games. We got 3 best bets for us here tonight as well, and you can check all the best bets out that we have, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, however you want to look at it and break it down. You can find that all over in the BetStamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. But 2 games broken down, you get 3 best bets for tonight, including a long shot player prop here for Sidney Crosby. And just quickly taking a look at what we've got for tonight. Sidney Crosby to score the first goal in the Penguins-Leafs game, plus 1,200. We're going to go a half unit on that. So that's our first bet. We're also going to take the Penguins money line against the Leafs here, plus 140. And our final bet of the night, the Vegas Golden Knights, Vancouver Canucks, first period over 1.5, minus 115. So 3 best bets for tonight. A little bit of Calder discussion there as well. We appreciate everyone who watched the show here today. If you did enjoy the content, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. So Money, Alex, thank you guys for doing this. So Money, we'll see you back here on Thursday. Alex will see you back here on Friday. And make sure to be subscribed here to the channel, because we're going to have playoff previews coming up once all the final matchups are determined and we start getting prices coming out. So we'll be breaking down all of those. But thank you so much to everyone who tuned in here today. We'll see you guys all back here tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Enjoy the games. Good luck in your bets.